How would you feel if there was a reality show where flat earthers have to find the edge of the world? It would fit perfectly in line with those reality TV History Channel shows where they treat everything they find like it's some big revelation, but in the end it's never anything of substance, ever. I found a nail over here. Narrator's voiceover, could it be from a 16th century Spanish galleon? Or the True Cross? Next on the Curse of Oak Island. Ugh, that Oak Island crap. I get it confused with another bogus History Channel show sometimes, but the one I saw was like an hour of watching a moron get ready to go on a boat ride. They finally get to the island and he walks around in circles gesticulating at rocks, and then it ends. Edit. After some sleuthiness I have uncovered the truth. It was not Oak Island, it was Apocalypse Island with Jim Turner, who is the moron in our tale. He made this big deal about how this island had all these Mayan ruins, 2012 apocalypse fever, and some galactic alignment involving Venus, the supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy, and solar eclipses were all supposed to happen right at this island, and it's the only place in the universe that this can happen. Because that's how it works. This show was terrible, but I cannot find it on the YouTube. Here is a link to a Reddit comment by /useruzamonkey who also saw this horrible crap, and let me tell you, it was in everything he said and less. I have failed in finding the episode, but you can buy the DVD on Amazon. Yeah, right. I just saw this, and it's really bad. It's supposedly about a Mayan monument on a remote Pacific island. However, it's 95% bullcrap about 2012 and 5% about the monument. They only show the so-called monument for all of 30 seconds, and it's nothing but a rock formation. You might as well look for Jesus in your toast. Also, I read on the interwebs that this island is actually Robinson Crusoe Island, and the monument, which is actually just a geological rock pillar, is a popular tourist attraction. The guy in the film says the only way to get there is by boat, and there is no landing. But if this is the same island, there's both a port and an airport there. It's all bullcrap. And it's 2 hours long. I'm sick in bed, and it wasn't even good even under these circumstances. Web link. Reddit link. See the wood on this boat? It's oak. The same kind of wood used to make the Ark of the Covenant. Ice Guys. YouTube link. This is one of my favorite channels on the tube. Found Joe like a month ago and have not regretted it since. That was gold. The Ark of the Covenant is described in the Bible as being made of acacia wood covered in gold. I know that's not the joke, but it is pretty interesting. The one in Raiders of the Lost Ark was built to biblical description. The angels on top were artistic license since the Bible does not say how big they are. Huh, Till. Thanks for that, I had no idea. Pretty cool. A large acacia plank, with multiple chunks of gold scattered around it. Could this potentially be a sign? Man, I'm from Nova Scotia. That show ruined the mystery and replaced it with annoyance. I watched the first episode of that show and then I thought to myself, wait a minute, if they found anything new or important I would have heard about it. Why am I watching this? Yeah, that's the thing. If someone actually did discover the Ark of the Covenant or whatever, every Jesus freak would spontaneously combust and it would be breaking news on CNN/Fox the second they found it. Real documentary called The Search for the Crystal Skulls, where they find a brick in a forest and the narrator says, have we found the lost city of Atlantis? I live like 15 minutes from Oak Island. They've known for ages there's nothing there, there never has been. It's just a fun folklore thing. The real treasure was the friends' money they made along the way from the History Channel. If anything was there, it's long gone. Samuel Ball got it way back in the 1700s and slowly built a landowning empire. His last name Ball is actually short for baller. Richest cabbage farmer in the history of mankind. An Iron Cross possible link to the Knights Templar? Or Al Capone's secret locker? Next on Believe Anything. I got to stay up late to watch Geraldo not find anything in Capone's vault. 11 p.m. and I was like, but mom, WTF, now I won't get any sleep, and it was for nothing. Geraldo sucks. And guess what, 30 years later and COVID-19. Thanks for letting that out of the vault, Geraldo. OMG, my dad is obsessed with that show. He's always telling me they found something big, they just haven't showed it on TV yet. Reminds me of Zach Baggins on Ghost Adventures. Tiny knock on window. Could this be a message from the tormented ghosts of the slaves trapped in this plantation, begging to be released from their chains? Oh God, that show. I forgot all the names but that poor bald guy they keep locking in the supposedly most haunted parts. Aaron. The poor sucker. My fiancé and I joke that he's always wearing his vest like a thunder shirt to help his anxiety from all the crap Zach makes him do. Haha, 12 people have spontaneously exploded from the demons in this room. Anyways, Aaron, here's a chair. Nah, it's more like don't worry, we'll be here too. Immediately runs back to the van and bolts the door. There's a wetness coming from my pants. Aaron, get in bed with me, man, and we can feel the vibrations together. I heard him referred to as Scooby-Douche. Don't you mean used to be about History Channel? Gravity Falls hit that nail on the head. Historically about History Channel. I hated them when they became the Hitler Channel, but I did not realize that it wasn't their lowest point. No, the lowest point would be the multiple episodes of Ancient Aliens and UFO Hunters that directly involve the Nazis and Hitler. I mean, you could argue that Pawn Stars, American Pickers, and Forged in Fire are all related to history. At least Forged in Fire has a rundown on the historical basis of whatever weapon they're forging. Or the Bigfoot hunting shows. Oh my God. That one show with a bunch of overweight hillbillies with guns running through the wilderness trying to catch a psychic Bigfoot from Cherokee Legends is the best. They also hunt for the Snallygaster, a fire-breathing dragon in Tennessee, the Mothman, Hogzilla, and Hellhounds. Edit, from Mountain Monsters, where the psychic Cherokee Bigfoot mind controls one of the guys, Buck, and the rest of the team end up jumping on top of him in a dog pile while holding shotguns. Edit 2, later on in that same episode, another guy, Huckleberry, gets mind controlled by the psychic Cherokee Bigfoot and goes missing. The rest of the team searches for him and eventually find him naked, covered in mud, screaming like crazy, and hugging a totem pole. I couldn't find a good clip of it, so, web link. Since the 90s, there have been at least like 20, exaggerating, but honestly probably more to be honest, Bigfoot hunting specials where they always do the exact same thing and end the same way. Despite this, every other episode, small twig snaps, falls from tree, or wind moves something. Host, you hear that? This also happens in every single episode of every ghost hunting show. My parents made a joke where they will turn normal sentences into questions like "we're going to the store" to "we're going to the store." Quinn Morgendorfer talks like that. Quinn Morgendorfer talks like that? If it's the History Channel, it's more like, "I found a nail over there." Narrator, an alien species has left a clue behind after their visit to Earth. It's always aliens. Everything is aliens. That's why stuff like this seems plausible. YouTube link. We take a lot of risks making this show. Sometimes. We don't. Today we're not going to, because my sweet honey pie Bart is cold. Man, I love his videos. Not just any 16th century Spanish galleon, but an alien 16th century Spanish galleon. I'm not saying it was aliens. But it was aliens. I've only recently noticed this crap. Pisses me the F off. Biggest bait. I mean, if you seriously think they found a mermaid without it making the news, that's kind of on you. I was so happy when we got a new decoder so that I could finally watch History Channel. Looked forward to shows about, in particular, ye olde medieval times. I was stunned to learn that I knew crap about history. It was all aliens and pawnbrokers did it. Never mind, it's just shiny poop. Shartifact. Good news, it's a fossil. Bad news, it's coprolite. I first loved and immediately after, hated those shows growing up. Sasquatch, found. 1 hour later, maybe one day we will find him. I just watched the one about Rockwall, Texas. Is it an ancient wall made from giants? No, just a natural rock formation. It would honestly be really entertaining to see some of these folks try and plan such a trip. It would probably turn into a survival show in 2 episodes. It seems so easy to prove it is flat. If it actually were. Watch Behind the Curve on Netflix. It's hilarious watching them prove the Earth is round over and over again, then argue their own logic. Is that the one where they bought the $20,000 gyroscope and explained perfectly the science behind what it would tell them if the world were actually round? Amused conspiratorial chuckles, and then when it showed exactly that result, they went into a proper scientific method. Our results aren't coming out as expected, let's try and eliminate sources of error, only for nothing they did to eliminate the error. My favorite was when they had two poles, one with a light on it at, I think, 17 feet high, and they said if they shined the light through a hole it would be able to be seen at 17 foot at the other pole if the Earth was flat, or 22 foot if the Earth was round. They do the experiment and the guy at the receiving end is standing at 17 feet saying, "Are you shining the light? I can't see it." He then climbs up until he sees it, and wouldn't you know it, he was at 22 feet. The silence that ensued was hilarious. It really was the best way to end that documentary. Yeah, the last line is the dude just sighing and saying F haha. And after the experiment showed that the Earth is round at 22 feet, you see their confusion and doubt that maybe the Earth isn't flat at all. They all gather together to discuss this. Camera cuts to black, and when we get video again 1+ hours has gone by and someone talks to the camera. We've discussed our findings from the experiment and we think there must have been bushes or something in the way that blocked the laser. That's why we couldn't see it at 17 feet. He was so close. Yeah, buddy, there was something in the way. The curved ground. He makes his living producing flat Earth and conspiracy videos on YouTube. If he admits he's wrong, he'll lose his viewer base because they'll just go to a different channel that hasn't been infiltrated by NASA's goon squad. The words "the Earth is round" are just as damaging professionally as quitting your job, burning down the building, then posting on Facebook about how you did it. His paycheck and continued livelihood depend on continuing to insist the Earth is flat. He knows he's wrong. But he needs the money. So he can't admit it. Mark Sargent was a literal live in his mom basement nobody until flat earthers gave him attention and made him feel important. It's so effing blatant, he tells it himself. Flat Earth has never been a fact problem, it's a social one. The bismuth casing to protect it from heavenly energies, and I lost it. No, actually I lost it when they went to the public admission NASA thing and couldn't find the giant red start button on the arcade games and proceeded to claim everything was fake at NASA while the cameraman zoomed in on said button. Not to mention they used GPS navigation in the car to get there. Wonder how they think that works given most flat earthers don't believe in space either. I have hope for the dude who was explaining the experiment. Yeah, he didn't fully accept the result, but it did seem to give him some pause. After they repeat the experiment with the laser gyroscope in a lead box or whatever they were going to do, I reckon he's actually going to come around to the idea that the world might be round. I mean, the fact that they're even doing experiments at all to check their hypothesis is massively to their credit. They don't do this experiments to check their hypothesis, they do it to prove their pre-accepted theory. That's why it is so hilarious. Better than the guy who built a rocket in his backyard to see if the Earth was flat or not. Edit. Holy F, I didn't realize the guy died with a later rocket. Web link. Ironic sentence, our results aren't coming as expected. In science you should be open-minded, otherwise it's an ideology, not a science. Oh, definitely. Though generally speaking, starting from a standpoint of there might be something wrong with my test setup is a pretty good idea, especially if the data theoretically overwrites known physics. A good example is when CERN was participating in that neutrino test and the result kept coming and that neutrinos moved slightly faster than the speed of light. They ran the test multiple times and then put out the results basically saying, "We're pretty sure something's wrong with our test setup here, but here's the data just in case someone can come up with a framework that explains it while we crawl through our setup and figure out what's wrong." In the end, they had a slightly loose fiber optic cable that was causing a signal delay from a clock, thus making it seem like the neutrinos were moving faster than they were. Then they started talking about not having accounted for the heavens energy or some crap like that. They'll do/say anything to have the facts fit their own narrative. Haha, that's such a great name. I wonder if any of the flat earthers on the show recognized its meaning. Haha, that's such a great name. I wonder if any of the flat earthers on the show recognized its meaning. They didn't. The main person we follow around organizes a convention for his fellow flat earthers. They invite some famous, used in very loose terms, YouTuber who's one of those conspiracy nuts, flat earth follower, and overall a very crazy person who's obviously in a paranoid schizophrenic psychosis, to be a speaker at the convention. He demands some ridiculous terms of payment and various things to show up, like 50% of the earnings, part ownership of the convention or something like that. The one we follow obviously says no to these terms. The psychotic person quickly creates new videos ranting about how the one we follow and their convention are all part of the CIA, deep state agents, and things like that. All while clearly being in a current psychosis. And the one we follow addresses these accusations saying no, of course I'm not CIA. We're all working to expose them. And still can't figure out what kind of nutjobs he's dealing with and that they need no evidence or proof to make wild and fake claims without even the slightest hints of truth in them. Nor that most of the front figures in this particular conspiracy has deep-rooted mental illness, with a majority of them having paranoid schizo hallucinations. So no, a subtle joke title like Behind the Curve went all over their heads. Even if they did, they probably figured that any publicity was good publicity even if they were left looking like idiots, but then you can't reason someone out of an opinion that they didn't reason themselves into in the first place. You can't reason someone out of an opinion they didn't reason themselves into in the first place. I like that. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.